remind you again of the context for the Bread of Life discourse. Last week we heard that those who ate the multiplication of the loaves were looking for Jesus. And so when you come to Mass, are you looking for Jesus? Or are you here for something else? Or are you not sure why you're here? But Jesus comes to us from heaven, and when we couldn't go to heaven, God came down to us. And Jesus comes to us every time we celebrate the Mass. When you come to Mass, are you looking for Jesus? And this week, Jesus tells us that he is the bread come down from heaven, that he is the bread of life. You know, and that always had a very strong impression on me from a young age, that this is the bread of life. And, you know, and Mass was just always a part of what I do. You know, I had my father's example. But I mean, how could I not be with the Lord? I came to seek Jesus, and he was right here in our midst. You know, for all of my life, it was just a very simple, direct knowledge. This is Jesus. I need the bread from heaven. As we heard today, I am the bread come down from heaven. I need the bread of heaven. Where else can I receive here and now something that came from heaven? Where else can I receive such a tangible reminder of my true home? We were made for heaven. We were made to share the glory of God. But we lost it on account of sin. Where else do I remember, you know, like Elijah in the desert, that the sorrows of that this life is a journey, but that the journey has an end. I need the bread from heaven. And so I couldn't not come to Mass because I needed that time. Jesus in our midst. You know, I even remember when I was young, a priest, he took some liberties, but you know, when he would say, "This is Jesus. He loves you." I need the bread from heaven. You know, during we hear from the Bread of Life discourse every 3 years, and it's a chance to remember what we mean by the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. That it is Jesus, the Word through whom all things were made. It is Jesus, the one who loved us enough to die. That same Jesus is here, and he comes to you, he comes to me, and he wants to unite himself to us, to him in Holy Communion. Jesus is here. You know, and then there's other times in my life when I relate to Elijah in the desert. That's always, sometimes it seems like a strange story, but, you know, not too far off. Elijah, he was very zealous for the Lord, and, you know, it cost him. You know, when we're serious about our faith, it costs us. It's going to turn, some people are turned away or they're not ready to hear the gospel. And so it was with Elijah. He proclaimed to the people of Israel, there is one God. And he banished all of the false prophets, the prophets of Baal, the false god. He was zealous for God. He was doing the work of God. But in that, the queen got angry with him. Queen Jezebel got angry with him and promised to take his life. And it's after that, you know, with the threat where, you know, he was zealous for the Lord, doing what the Lord had called him to do. He'd won human enemies, but no one's stronger than God. And so he was discouraged, and so he goes a day out into the desert, and he prays for death. But our God gives us strength. Our God gives us strength. And so it was an angel sent to Elijah. Get up, eat, drink. Sent with the bread of angels. Sent again to Elijah. Get up, eat, drink, or else the journey will be too long for you. And so Elijah ate the bread of angels, and it gave him new strength, by which he went to the mountain of God, where God revealed himself to him in that tiny whispering sound. We need the bread come down from heaven. That's our strength. Do we realize that just like Elijah, after he ate and drank the bread of angels, he was sent on a journey. God gave him work to do. He said, go to Mount Horeb. And he went. When we come here, we need the strength of the bread from heaven, but then the Lord gives us work to do. He gives us work to do. After that, he sends us out. That's actually how the Mass ends. Go, you are sent. Go and announce the gospel. Go and glorify the Lord by your life. We are sent out. And it's hard, and there's times like Elijah when we might face discouragement. Because more and more the values of the world are not the values of God. And it can be discouraging, but we're here to receive the bread of life, to get that strength, the bread of angels that Elijah had experienced, so we too can persevere, that when we leave, we have the strength to forgive. We have the strength to serve our brothers, our sisters, to serve our children, our parents, to live out that call of love. Oh, Jesus says, I am the bread of life. Paul picks up in our second reading, Paul picks up in a very profound way what it is we're called to do. What it is that we need this strength of the bread of angel, the bread of heaven to do. Because Paul tells us, imitate Christ. Imitate God. We need his strength to do that. So what is the act of love that we imitate every time we celebrate Mass? We gather around the altar and Jesus says, this is my body given up for you. But Jesus says, there's no price I won't pay for your good. There's nothing I won't do to serve you, to enrich you, to strengthen you, to nourish you. I will give Jesus gave everything that is in him to us. And Paul says, be imitators of God. And so that full understanding of the Eucharist, of the Mass, is recognizing that we are called to do what Jesus did. That as we go forth from here, nourished and strengthened by the bread from heaven, we're called to give of ourselves to those we love, to those we see each day, to say to a spouse or to a parent or a child, I'm going to give what's in me to enrich you and to strengthen you. That's the true demand of love. Or Mother Teresa, who understood this gift so well, would say, love until it hurts. And for that, we need the bread come down from heaven. We need the bread of angels. Jesus tells us, I am the bread of life. All who come to me shall not hunger. All who believe in me shall not thirst. Jesus says, I am the bread of life. And he wants to give that gift to you, to me, so that with the strength from the bread of angels, we would go out to love as Christ has loved us. We would go out to fulfill our dignity as Christians.